Oh yeah, come on down. In this complete trail guide, we take a stock Jeep and even smaller Cherokee up one of Moab's most iconic trails to see what it's actually like. Hey there, my name is Dewey Jones. I'm a Colorado off-roader, and what we do here is we film trail guides on all kinds of stuff. But what we do is we use stock vehicles, or at least vehicles that aren't as capable, so you can figure out if your ride can do the trail too. Now today we are doing top of the world. Now Eastern Jeep Safari requires 35-inch tires on it. I have 32s. I think Zach's running like 30s, 31s on his XJ. So we're gonna see if we can do it. Now we do have a buddy with a Renegade. Now it's a modified Renegade and he has done top of the world. So we just need to find out, where does this trail actually fall? Let's get on the trail. I'll tell you about it. I'm gonna show you everything about it and we'll make sure that we give you a good trail guide on top of the world. Now from Dewey Bridge, which is easily found by typing it into Google Maps, you're going to take this easy Entrada Bluffs road for 5.3 miles to a four-way intersection. Now this four-way intersection is well marked, but it is helpful to set your trip meter at the bridge. Along the way, we will pass various waypoints, including a river access road, a sometimes creek crossing, and a campground. The Cocopelli, Rose Garden Hill, and Dolores River Outlook trails can also be accessed from this road, and we will eventually have guides of all those trails made. But let's get to the trail that we're on today and make this right to top of the world. This is the start of the trail, and for those of you who do not know about top of the world, here is some basic information on the trail. We're going to go into more detail throughout the video, but our main goal is to show you the complete trail, including the often skipped, extremely rough eastern half of the loop. We'll also see quite a few people skipping that section of the trail today, and by the end of the video you'll understand why. However, I like to keep these videos moving, so let's get to our first obstacle, which is optional as it does have a bypass, but it's also one of the easier obstacles we will encounter today. Off to the right, you may spot some vehicles wrenching on their rides. Now, I'm gonna admit this was not the most encouraging sign, considering both Zach and I were much smaller than these vehicles. Also, this is just the first of many broken vehicles we will encounter this day. Heck, we even have our own trail repair coming up, so let's keep moving. The beginning section of the trail is mostly moderate terrain and it is pretty easy to stay on trail. However, there is a wide open rock slab that comes in at about half a mile from starting top of the world. But all you have to do here is follow the white markers painted on the rock. Once you get past that, you have about a mile more of moderate terrain before the trail starts to show you its true nature. Zach and I filmed this video on April 16, 2021, and funtreks notes that the best time to do the trail is between April and October. However, the trail is usually open year-round. Now, the reason it's usually best to go between April and October is it's less likely to have snow on it, which can make this tough trail even tougher. While we work our way up to the next obstacle, let me get into why we decided to film this as our first real trail guide of the 2021 season. In March, I published a walk around of Davin's awesome Jeep Renegade. While filming that, I learned he did top of the world. To me, that was just incredibly impressive as the trail has some non-optional obstacles. Also, we had heard the trail had gotten harder in recent years, with funtreks no longer recommending it for stock vehicles, TrailsOffroad upping the difficulty to 8 in spots, and Eastern Jeep Safari requiring 35-inch tires with both front and rear lockers. Now, we don't have 35s, and I'm basically a stock Rubicon, so I was extremely curious how both Zach and I would do on this trail, especially with the harder stuff that's coming up. From here on out, the trail is much rougher and we'll show you all the obstacles noted in both funtreks and Trails Off-Road. Also, this wasn't just our first trail of the season, it was also our first time doing Top of the World. Now, I've always been an East Coast off-road park Jeeper, so many of these trail videos will be my first time, but after filming, I go back and I dissect the footage to create an accurate guide. However, we use vehicles that some people don't consider to be true off-roaders. I mean, I wheel a stock Jeep Wrangler and I'm usually unlocked unless I say otherwise, while Zach is in an even smaller open differential Cherokee. Now our goal is to capture the day as it happens, so if our vehicles end up not being enough, we'll show that. I'll admit, going into this video, I definitely had some concerns as I trust funtreks, Trails Off-Road, and of course the local 4x4 group. And as I said earlier, funtreks doesn't recommend stock vehicles like mine to do the trail, while the Red Rock 4-wheelers require 35-inch or bigger tires with both front and rear lockers to do this trail on Easter Jeep Safari. So let's just say my confidence wasn't at the highest on getting through it without breaking something. But of course, I'll show you how we did with a full breakdown at the end, including any trail damage that we did get. Alright, we are getting closer to our first big test, a big obstacle with no bypass at around the 3-mile mark. This is apparently the obstacle that stops stock vehicles, but we gotta find it first, so let's keep on going. I'm gonna take you back to the trail. Alright guys, we walked up, we're at 2.8 and it's supposed to be a non-optional ledge. It's supposed to be difficult. We don't see it, you know. We're gonna be fine. We're just looking for something good to film for you guys. But yeah, let's keep driving and see if we find this optional or this non-optional difficult ledge. Little did we know we only had 2 more minutes of driving to get to this obstacle, and there was a little bit of a line, so we had some time to watch others go at it first. Now, I absolutely don't want to shortchange you on these obstacles, but to keep the video tight and moving, I'm going to cut out some of the action and put it at the end. Anyway, here is the no bypass obstacle.
Oh.
So Zach just wiped out his valve stem, but all he had to do was swap out his tires. He'll go on the bypass after I go.
I just didn't know if I had the front end clearance.
My bad, sorry about that, man.
You're fine. Mama didn't raise no, well, you know.
Well, you know. I got it on video at least. I'll meet you over there. I think this section that Zach struggled on would probably be okay for a stock short wheelbase Wrangler, because it basically looked like he was getting off. It'd be a lot easier with lockers, so maybe I'll try it.
You guys puncture the sidewall.
Yep. Nothing to see here.
I think if you say like straight right there.
Straight?
Oh, you got it now.
The no bypass obstacle was our first real test, but it certainly won't be the last, as we will soon start the loop and both sides have lots of noted obstacles. But before we start the loop, we have a short drive, and as you can see, the trail remains rough with little ledges and embedded rock. This spot is going to be fun when we return to it later, but for now we will run the trail counterclockwise like both Funtreks and TrailsOffroad do in their guides. However, if you want more of a challenge than what I'm going to show you, you can run the loop clockwise. With that said, both Zach and I have been talking about coming back to run it in this way. Now, does anyone want to join us? From this sort of rock roadway, we come to our first noted loop obstacle at mile 3.6. This obstacle is optional and there is a bypass, but there won't be for ones that follow. After the optional obstacle, we have a short drive to the next noted obstacle at mile 3.7. This obstacle is interesting as it really isn't one specific feature or obstacle, but instead a series of slightly larger than the normal trail ledges with a wide variety of lines. We're going to show you these in compact form as I still have a lot to show you, including a rock garden, the overlook, and of course the tougher side of the loop.
Alright, move that. Ah. Now you fell off that rock again. Straight now. Ah, you moved the rock again. Really slow coming down that. Yeah, so you're... Yeah, you should walk right up that now.
Okay, this definitely wasn't my finest display of wheeling, but it shows that these obstacles are tougher than they appear on video. Now, I do think I could have gotten up that first line attempted if only I wasn't wheeling like, well, you guys know. Not to make any excuses, but I am claiming some rust on this one as the last trail guide I filmed was Barber Fork and I didn't even wheel that one. But this leads me to my next point. I was also rusty filming. I screwed up getting good video of Zach on this obstacle series. Now, my goal was to use the brand new drone I had just gotten, which I ended up destroying the next day, but that's a story for another video. But anyway, I just wanted to use the drone to film Zach from the sky while I shot him from the ground with my phone. Well, I ended up needing a firmware update, so I just basically took forever to get going and I ended up filming Zach with the drone in my hand. But we'll get it together and I have some great stuff coming for you in this video. From the series of obstacles, we have one final climb to the overlook, and as you can see, it was quite crowded with lots of people choosing to skip the harder side of the loop. We're going to soon see why, but let's check out the trail from here to the upcoming rock garden obstacle, which will be our last obstacle before we hit the overlook. The last part of the trail continues the story of the day by remaining rough. We continue to have various ledges and rock outcroppings to contend with, only now complicated by traffic. Luckily, it's less than half a mile to our next obstacle, the rock garden. Now, this rock garden is your last real test before you get to the famous overlook.
I'm with you there. Well, that's what I say until it doesn't work out, then I'm balls.
Yeah, I always never have finesse. I just say I can do it.
Zach is celebrating being done with the obstacles and that our next waypoint is that famous overlook. This will be both Zach and I's first time seeing the view, and we were definitely excited about pulling up to the cliff's edge to snap that classic photo of our rides. After we soak up the views, we're going to take on the other half of the loop, and you'll have to tell me if it was worth skipping like so many did today. But I think you're going to agree with me and that it's part of the trail that shouldn't be missed. That overlook is definitely one of the best in Moab, and we're going to show you some other great ones in future videos. So as we start down this rougher other half of the loop, if you're not subscribed, I hope you'll consider it, and we'll show you those views. Anyway, my goal is to give you an accurate picture of what this other half is like. So let's get to our first named obstacle, simply titled Nasty and Trails Off-Road. Now this is nasty.
Yeah, that's the thing, is to get mine to not die, wanted to go faster than I wanted to go. Then again though, I could also just get a new gears for my one transfer case.
Oh, yeah.
So like first gear is the equivalent of third gear or whatever.
That's not bad. There we go. I do kind of want one of those cameras that show you what you're looking at.
It's something I've thought about for a while. Like
It would make things so much easier.
the self-spot, basically.
Yeah.
Just something kind of,
Especially we don't spot each other.
yeah.
Now we thought that was it from the nasty obstacle, but a short drive would introduce us to part 2. We just didn't realize it was as big as it was until after Zach went on it. So unfortunately we only got bumper cam footage of him on it, but he'll come back and film me so you have a better idea of what part 2 is really like.
These are off it. All right, now you're gonna want to turn passenger though. There you go, there you go. All right, now kind of keep straight, and you're gonna want to hug passenger side as much as you can. Gonna have to break out the gloves soon, damn.
Normally I want to take obstacles a little faster so you aren't stuck looking at me barely moving for too long, but that one was just too big to bash my Jeep down, especially since that Jeep used to be my daily driver. I do hope that footage gave you a pretty good idea of what that obstacle is really like though. Anyway, we still have 2 more noted obstacles as part of this half of the loop, and I'm pretty sure I tried that bypass part of the no bypass obstacle, so I'm going to zip us through the rest of the trail to show you that. But first, let me show you some stuff not in the guides.
It's all the sand all over these rocks.
So these little obstacles had multiple lines, but we weren't really sure which was the easiest, so we decided to try different ones. After you climb that little ledge, you just have a short drive to the next Trails Off-Road noted obstacle, the ledges at 5.4. And immediately following those ledges, we have another obstacle at mile 5.5. That would be the waterfall. So let's go check those out so we can continue to complete this video.
Do you want a spot? You remember that time when we didn't know each other and we did Crystal Geyser together?
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Why so?
You know, just us dropping it. Like, hey, do you want a spot? Nah.
Unfortunately, I lost the outside footage of my Jeep on those ledges, but I guess that's alright because that means we can start on our last loop obstacle, the waterfall, which will return us to the start of the loop once we get over it.
There she goes. Very nice.
We have now shown the complete trail besides running the out and back portion in the reverse direction. We're going to do that now as we review and break down the trail stats. After the review, I'll show you my attempt on the bypass of the no bypass obstacle. Top of the World is one of those iconic Moab trails that you should do at least once. However, I would expect a rough ride. Now on the screen is our complete breakdown of the trail, and of course, we agree with both the difficult rating that Funtreks and Trails Off-Road gave the trail. I do understand why Easter Jeep requires 35s and lockers for their group run, but I definitely don't think it's necessary for a you and a buddy run. Now the trail does require some off-road skills, so make sure this is not your first off-road trail. You should have some experience before doing it. Now because of the Overlook's photo spot, the trail gets a high pucker rating. But if you skip it, the rating would just be moderate secondary to off-camber rock crawling. The scenery rating is high, mostly because of that overlook, but you'll spy various pretty vantage points along the way. Now most important in my book is the fun rating, and this one was definitely high. So in conclusion, if you and your ride can handle this trail, you should definitely put it on your list. If it seems a bit too rough for you, I'd suggest checking out Dome Plateau or Onion Creek, which is in the area. Alright, if you have any input that you think may help someone interested in doing this trail, leave a comment with that input. Alright, we are done. Let's go check out my attempt on the bypass of the no bypass obstacle.
My mother, babe.
I think I can do this. I'm curious about it. We want to get some food, but we'll be back. I think I'm going to move to Grand Junction, so I'll have access to this trail pretty easily, but this is that little tricky area.
That was a good shot. Oh.
Who needs 40s?
Alright, I was absolutely just joking as I love a well-built rig, but don't expect that from me as my goal is to see how far I can get a truly stock Wrangler. Anyway, the trip down is pretty, but you've already seen this part of the trail, so I'm going to send it to Zach, who's going to give you his thoughts on a Trailhawk on this trail to help us wrap up this video.
I personally wouldn't take a Trailhawk on top of the world. I think you'd be using your skid plates quite a bit. And if you're going to take one, you definitely want some kind of metal sliders. I'd suggest the Rocky Road Super Sliders. But with a Trailhawk, I would suggest showing up very early in the morning and planning for this being an all-day ordeal.
Definitely, I understand that. What about its capabilities? You think it could do the trail?
I think the Trailhawk can do the trail. I think it's going to be a rough ride if it does it.
Now, if you want to see Zach and his Trailhawk on our first trail together, then click right here. It is an early video, but it's an awesome Moab trail. We also do have a playlist of Moab trail guides. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate you for sticking with us to the end.